The USS Long Beach entered service in 1961 as the first surface warship in history powered entirely by the atom. She was enormous, over 700 feet long, more than 15,000 tons, and she looked wrong. Where other warships had masts and funnels, Long Beach had a towering square superstructure that made her look like an office building welded to a hull. There was a reason for the box. The Navy wanted to mount a revolutionary new radar 100 feet above the water, ScanFar, with flat phased array panels on all four faces that steered their beams electronically instead of spinning a dish. It was the ancestor of the radar concept every modern warship uses today. But in 1961, that radar ran on thousands of vacuum tubes that shattered constantly under the vibration of the ship's own propellers. Technicians worked in 90-degree compartments behind the antennas, replacing burned-out glass by flashlight. Her two reactors gave her 80,000 horsepower and effectively unlimited range. And here's the strange part. When Long Beach first put to sea, she didn't carry a single gun. The Navy believed missiles had made guns obsolete, until the Secretary of Defense personally ordered two 5-inch guns bolted onto the most advanced warship in the world. She would go on to make history again and again. Off Vietnam, Long Beach used her long-range Talos missiles to shoot down two enemy MiGs from more than 60 miles away, among the first aircraft ever destroyed by a missile fired from a ship. But her most famous moment came earlier, in 1964. Beach joined the nuclear carrier Enterprise and a second nuclear escort, the cruiser Bainbridge, and the three ships did something no fleet had ever done. They sailed around the entire world, 30,000 miles, 65 days, no refueling, no stops for fuel of any kind. They called it Operation Sea Orbit, and the message to Moscow was unmistakable. The United States Navy could now keep a battle group anywhere on Earth, at full speed, for as long as it wanted. It was the high point of the entire concept, a nuclear task force circling the planet, unstoppable and self-sufficient. From that moment, the nuclear cruiser looked like the future of naval warfare. It wasn't. But it would take the Navy 30 years and 9 ships to admit it. The second ship had already proven a quieter point. The USS Bainbridge, commissioned in 1962, was the first nuclear-powered destroyer-type ship in the Navy. Far smaller than Long Beach, built to show that a reactor plant could be squeezed into something the size of a destroyer escort. 2 reactors, over 30 knots. She'd hit 34 on trials. For her first 13 years, the Navy didn't even call her a cruiser. She was officially a frigate, until a 1975 reclassification turned her into one overnight. She circled the globe in sea orbit, escorted carriers for more than 3 decades, and was quietly retired in 1996. Bainbridge proved the reactor could go small. The next ship pushed that idea to its absolute limit. The USS Truxtun, commissioned in 1967, was built on a destroyer hull that had to be physically stretched 17 feet just to make room for her 2 reactors. At just over 8,000 tons, she remains the smallest nuclear-powered warship the United States ever sent to sea. She was the odd one out. She carried all her missiles at the stern, a 5-inch gun up front and a single launcher aft firing Terrier, and later standard surface-to-air missiles. She earned 7 battle stars off Vietnam and served 28 years. 3 ships, 3 one-offs, 3 different answers to the same question. The Navy still hadn't decided what a nuclear cruiser should actually be. So it finally stopped experimenting and built a class. The California class was the first time the Navy committed. 2 ships built as a matched pair instead of one-offs. The USS California entered service in 1974. Her sister, USS South Carolina, in 1975. 2 reactors each, 2 rapid-loading launchers fore and aft for standard missiles, anti-submarine rockets, Harpoon, and a pair of 5-inch guns. Built at Newport News for exactly one purpose: to screen the Navy's nuclear carriers and never, ever slow them down. On paper, they were everything the concept had promised: unlimited range, heavy firepower, the perfect carrier escort. But there was a number nobody on deck could see, a number buried in the Navy's budget office. Every one of these ships cost a fortune to run, and an even bigger fortune every time its reactors needed refueling. For now, in the booming defense budgets of the 1970s, nobody cared. That was about to change. But first, the Navy built the best of them all: the Virginia class. 4 ships: Virginia, Texas, Mississippi, and Arkansas, commissioned between 1976 and 1980. They were refined Californias with faster launchers, and in the 1980s they were upgraded into something genuinely fearsome. Armored box launchers for Tomahawk cruise missiles, Harpoon anti-ship missiles, Phalanx guns, and Kevlar armor wrapped around their magazines and control spaces. These were the most capable nuclear surface combatants the United States would ever build, and the Navy wanted a lot of them. The original plan called for 11 Virginias, then a nuclear Aegis cruiser, the CGN-42, to follow, then an even bigger nuclear strike cruiser on a true cruiser hull. The Navy dreamed of a fleet of nuclear escorts screening every carrier group on Earth. It built 4 Virginias. The CGN-42 was cancelled before it was ever named. The strike cruiser never left the drawing board. 9 ships. That was it. That was the entire nuclear cruiser fleet the United States would ever have. Not 20, not 11, 9. And then, one by one, the Navy started killing them. The United States walked away from nuclear cruisers in the 1990s and never looked back. But one country didn't. The Soviet Union built its own, the Kirov class. 4 massive nuclear battle cruisers, the largest surface combatants in the world outside of aircraft carriers. And Russia is still trying to keep them alive. 2 of the 4 Kirovs have already been scrapped. The current flagship, Pyotr Veliky, is expected to retire soon. And the 4th, the Admiral Nakhimov, has spent over 25 years and more than $2.5 billion in refit, finally returning to sea this year, as the only nuclear-powered surface warship left on the planet. 25 years, billions of dollars, to keep a single ship the United States Navy decided wasn't worth the money 3 decades ago. So who was right? The Americans, who scrapped all 9 and bet on cheaper, smaller, smarter ships? Or the Russians, betting everything on one nuclear giant? The nuclear cruiser was one of the most powerful warships ever built, and the country that built 9 of them couldn't get rid of them fast enough. If this was worth your time, a like helps it reach more people. And tell me in the comments, did the Navy make the right call scrapping all 9? Subscribe for more deep dives like this one.